Buongiorno, buongiorno a tutti. Good morning. Welcome to the Embassy of Italy. I have a long list of people to thank for this event, for this project. I'll try to be short, and I wish first of all to convey my best regard to the Member of Parliament, Brando Bonifei, and also to the member of the Maryland Delegates House, Arianna Kelly.
He is online.
She's online. Thank you for being with us. Of course, my best regards to the Mayor of Sarzana, Cristina Ponzanelli, and to all those contributed to this initiative. We celebrate today the conclusion of the cooperation project, which involved the Parentucelli Arzelà Technical Institute of Sarzana and High School of Annapolis in Maryland, with the assignment of 3 scholarships to 3 students, which will spend a period of 2 weeks in their sister school. The project, supported by the Embassy with the contribution of Casa Italiana Language School managing body and with the patronage of the municipality of Sarzana, offers the possibility of strengthening ties and connection which allow students to deepen mutual knowledge as well as strengthening their linguistic skills. As part of this twinning between the 2 schools, the project was further enriched by incorporating the proposal of the European Parliament to join the 5th edition of the Bridge the Pond project, sponsored by the European Parliament. Thank you for this initiative. The aim of the project Bridge the Pond is the promotion of mutual dialogue. The Annapolis High School and the Walt Whitman School of Maryland will be the U.S. partner schools in this project. The protection of sensitive data is the topic on which the students will exchange their point of view today. The students will have the opportunity to ask some questions to the distinguished guests which are with us, to the member of the European Parliament, Brando Bonifei, and to the member of the Maryland House of Delegates, Arianna Kelly. The student question will be preceded by a PowerPoint introduction on the subject of data protection and the legislation in force in the USA and in Europe. The PowerPoint will be presented by 4 students, 2 on the American side and 2 from the Italian side. At the end of the greeting speech, we will close the ceremony with delivery of the certificate of the 3 scholarship to the 3 students from Sarzana School who will attend Annapolis High School in Maryland for 3 weeks this summer. Thank you very much, and I wish you good works, good job for the activities today. Thank you very much.
Now, Ryan Milak, please, to the podium.
Hi, hello everyone. Yes, I will not take long time. Just to first of all thank the Italian Embassy, Consigliere Bellantone, for welcoming here and hosting us. I come from the European Parliament Liaison Office in Washington, D.C., and the raison d'etre of our office is to bring together members of European Union, Parliament, Member of Parliament in the EU with the US Congress and the state delegates all over the United States. We're very happy to be here, and I'm looking at you students just to wish you all the best before you start. We have very 2 important guests, and I welcome them here and thank them for being here. And that's Member of European Parliament Bonifei and Arianna Kelly, who is the member of the Maryland House of Delegates. It's very special that they're here because they're here for you to listen to what you've been doing for these past weeks, listen to your questions, and listen to your presentations. You have been working a lot. You have focused on one topic, which is data protection. But beyond this topic, you have also discovered that you have so many similarities from Italy, from the USA, living so far, so distant, but still sharing the same worries, the same challenges, the same thoughts, and sharing the same future. And this is why we're here today. And we made our best that there are lots of people connecting to us. There's a colleague working with me in Milano, in our European Parliament office in Milan, who will be speaking to you as well very shortly after me. There are the diplomats from the Italian Embassy. We have the members of parliament from Maryland and the European Union, and this is all for you. And we're very, very happy that you accepted our invitation. Please take this opportunity, not just for today, but for your future. I mean, keep in contact with your friends, with the new friends that you have made from Annapolis, from Bethesda, from Sarzana. Thank the teachers for the great work they're doing with you. I've been following their interest in you for these past weeks. They're fantastic. And build on this. There's so much you can do. Believe in yourselves. And the word is big, but small at the same time. You've seen how small it is. You've been working together with Liguria region for 4 weeks. And make this a lifestyle. Learn languages, develop your horizons, because there's a lot you can do in your life, okay? So very, very, very grateful for your work, and thank you for participating in this with us. I stop here and I give the floor to my colleague in Milano, who will also introduce a little bit and talk a little bit about our work in Italy from the European Parliament. Thank you very much.
Hello from the European Parliament Liaison Office in Italy. I'm speaking from Milan. I want to thank you all the partners involved in this project and on behalf of our office, of course, which I represent today, and underline the importance of such international transatlantic cooperations. Our office contributes to the most important program that the European Parliament has created in 2016, and it is the European Parliament Ambassador School Program. This program gives students the opportunity to understand their rights as European Union citizens, and especially to learn about how they can actively participate in the European Union's democratic processes. And I want to also underline the success of this program, especially for these years, which is the 2021 and 2022 years. And in Italy, we have 104 ambassador schools, which is really an outstanding result, demonstrating the growing interest in our country for this unique opportunity and also for the European Union in general. And so thank you again for this great opportunity. I'm very, very glad to wish everybody that is here connected or there with you a happy final event to Bridge the Pond project.
Stefania, now I go to the podium for my remarks. So thank you, Ryan, for all of your support and cooperation in planning today's program. And distinguished guests, honorable member of the Maryland House of Delegates, Ariana Kelly, honorable member of European Parliament, Brando Benifei, Mayor of Sarzana, Cristina Ponzanelli, Principal Generoso Cardinale, dear teachers and students. I am so proud to be here today at the conclusion of the project of cooperation in Italy-USA that represented the ideal framework for the project Bridge the Pond. When Marcia McGee from the European Parliament Liaison in Washington proposed me the project Bridge the Pond, I realized that the objectives of the project were the same of our project, both aimed to fill the pond, to bridge the gap between two cultures, two peoples, through the connections of the students of Italian and American schools. Students chose a delicate current topic, data protection, to discuss, and today they will have the opportunity to compare their ideas with the two legislators. Beyond the specific topic, as Ryan told us before, I think that all educational activities that the students have carried out have been successful. The two projects have enabled them not only to strengthen language skills in both languages, but to deepen mutual knowledge in different fields. Today, 3 students from Istituto Parentucelli Sarzana will receive 3 scholarships awards offered by Ente Promotore Casa Italiana Language School and from the Italian School that will allow them to spend some weeks in October at Annapolis in Maryland, where they will attend the high school, becoming real ambassadors of their country. The results achieved so far were possible thanks to the synergy of all the actors, the Embassy of Italy that supported the project from the beginning, the Ente Casa Italiana Language School in the person of a director, Paola Corneo, and Simonetta Baldassari for her continued support and cooperation for the project. The European Parliament, Comune di Sarzana that support the project of a cooperation, the principal of the Italian school Generoso Cardinale, and the two principals of the two high schools in America that joined the enlarged project. All the teachers. As a principal, I know how much commitment and dedication is required to promote these initiatives and motivate students without saving time and energy. And finally, the students. You are the two protagonists of the project. And so it's time now to give the floor to the two students, moderators, Carlo Biava. He is connected with us virtually from the Istituto Parentucelli Arzelà in Sarzana. And here, Matthew Wang from Walt Whitman High School that I call to the podium. Please, let us encourage them with applause. Please, Frank.
All right, I'm going to let my Italian counterparts start off our portion of this event. Hello, Carlo, can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay,
Hello from the Istituto Parentucelli Arzelà in Sarzana, Liguria in Italy. My name is Carlo Biava, and I would like to welcome you to our Italy-USA cooperation and the final event of Bridge the Pond, Maryland, Italy.
And hello from Walt Whitman High School and Annapolis High School here in Maryland, USA. My name is Matthew Wong, and I also want to welcome you here today. We are very excited to share with you our own experience of transatlantic dialogue and building friendships across a 4,300-mile distance. Over the past few weeks, we have been discussing and engaging with our peers across the Atlantic to find solutions to a problem that we feel is very important, and that's data protection. We feel privileged to have the opportunity to present our work to our special guest legislators, the Honorable Member of European Parliament, Brando Benife, and the Honorable Member of the Maryland House of Delegates, Ariana Kelly.
Carlo? Perhaps we have a problem of a connection. You want to go on?
Sure, yes. Unfortunately, it seems that Carlo is not able to take the next part, so I will begin, and if he chimes in, I will let him continue. So before we give the floor to our honorable legislator guests for their brief introductions, please allow me to give some housekeeping reminders for all those who are connecting with us online today. Don't forget to switch off your microphones when you're done speaking so that we don't get any feedback issues, and just promptly switch them on when it's your turn to speak, providing the connection works. Honorable members, we are looking forward to sharing our work with you and to hear your views. I would now like to give the floor to the honorable member of the Maryland House of Delegates, Delegate Kelly, for a brief introduction.
Hi, everybody. I'm Delegate Ariana Kelly. I serve in the Maryland General Assembly, where I have served for 12 years, and I am the Vice Chair of the Health and Government Operations Committee. So we do deal with some data issues on that committee, but I'm really mostly excited to hear from the students. I really am so thankful to be here. I represent the area where the Whitman students live, but I'm really eager to learn from all of you, and I thank you for the invitation.
Thank you. Carlo, if you are there, can you respond and take over?
Yes, we are here. We had a few technical problems. I would like to give the floor to the honorable member of the European Union, Benifei, for a brief introduction.
Yes, thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm sorry that it happens in this very complicated day for us because we are leaving the plenary of the parliament. So I am now in a changing of flight, but I hope I can stay as much as possible. I really wanted to participate anyway because I come from La Spezia, very close to Sarzana. So it's where I come from. I've been also a student representative doing this kind of projects when I was in high school with schools in Europe and also in US. So I really like this kind of activities, and I think it's a very, very good work. And also, finally, I can say that as an 8 years member of the European Parliament, it's my second mandate, I've been dealing with data protection, and especially now as rapporteur of the European Parliament on the regulation of artificial intelligence. I'm working a lot on the frontiers of technological change and the interaction with data protection. So I'm curious to hear about your work, and I already apologize for the fact that I will probably need to leave a little earlier than the end because I need to take the next flight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Benife, and we are lucky to have you for however long you're able to be here. We would now like to pass the floor to our amazing teachers who have guided us throughout our transatlantic endeavor. Michela Chiappini from Sarzana, Italy, and Olga Mancuso from Bethesda, Maryland. They will each briefly introduce themselves.
Hello, everyone. It is, first of all, a pleasure to be here. I am Michela Chiappini. I am an English teacher from the Parentucelli Arzelà. That is an amazing and really massive, huge school, including 1,400 students. We are in Liguria, Italy, and we are a school that includes a lot of courses. But our main objective is to be, let's say, inclusive, first of all, and make students be engaged in these projects, which enhance, first of all, collaboration and an idea of citizenship for our students to become world citizens and be collaborative with our other countries, as it is happening thanks to the Bridge the Pond and thanks to the Progetto Washington.
Good morning. My name is Olga Mancuso. I am from Walt Whitman High School in Bethesda, Maryland. The school is named after one of the greatest American poets. He was born in 1819 and he lived through the Civil War. Whitman is a top-rated public schools in Bethesda, an affluent area adjacent to Washington, D.C. Because of its closeness to the nation's capital, Whitman has many international students coming from all over the world. In fact, the language program is very strong. We teach 8 different foreign languages: Arabic, Chinese, French, Italian, Japanese, Latin, Spanish, and the American Sign Languages. Of course, we also have a very strong music and math department, and we are in a very good, we place very well with the athletics because American students have a very interested keen in the athletics. At the beginning of the school year, 2022, August 2021, 285,000 students started high school. The high school in America goes from the 9th to 12th grade, 4 years, therefore, of high school. And the day is divided in 8 periods. School starts at 7:45 in the morning until 2:30, during which students also have breakfast and lunch. There are 4 years of high school. The school colors is light blue. And I want to take the opportunity not only to thank the institutions and people that have made this possible, but also to share that even though today you're going to see and hear from 5 American students, the outcome of this event is really the teamwork of Walt Whitman students that worked together to get to this point today. Thank you.
All right. Well, now we are going to start our joint presentation on data protection. 4 of our students, 2 from Italy and 2 from the United States, will be presenting 1 slide each. We will start with Andrea Calzolari from Sarzana, followed by Addison Lockhart from Maryland, Savaja Fagioni from Sarzana, and finally, Lucas Yamamoto from Maryland. I'm going to turn it over to them.
Okay. Thank you. I'm Andrea Calzolari from the High School Parentucelli Arzelà, and I will show you what we learned from this experience. The first thing we noticed, which was quite remarkable, was the difference between the United States and European choices when they needed to select rules regarding the protection of personal data. More precisely, the United States regulation is much more focused on protecting the corporate interests and the privacy of the customer. So the actual regulation is decided by the companies or by the societies that need the personal data of the client, and the client will read the regulation and decide if to agree or not. While in the European Union regulation is much more focused on protecting the individuals independently from the needs of a company, leaving those companies with a little less freedom. For those reasons, the European Union regulation is, under some aspects, much more precise and severe than the United States regulation. Even because while in the United States, the agreement is only required for the use of personal data, in Europe, it's also required for the collection of data themselves. Another remarkable thing we learned was that both systems, apart from having different goals, they are also differently organized. The United States the United States has some national laws decided by the single states, decided by the single states that look for what is better for each one of them in order to provide and regulate protection of personal information. While in the European Union, there is a single collection of laws, statements, and regulations organized in 11 chapters and 91 articles called GDPR, General Data Protection Regulation, which must guarantee the privacy tutelage for every citizen in every country of the United Europe. We were all amazed by all these differences, but we all agree that privacy is a fundamental right that affects our private lives as free citizens. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Addison Lockhart from Walt Whitman High School. Privacy is a fundamental right and an essential element of freedom. Advances in technology have produced rampant growth in the amount and categories of personal data being generated, collected, stored, analyzed, and potentially shared, which presents both promise and peril. Companies collect, use, and share our personal data in ways that can be difficult for ordinary consumers to understand. Opaque data processing policies make it impossible to evaluate risks and compare privacy-related protections across services, stifling competition. Algorithms quietly make decisions with critical consequences for consumers, often with no human accountability. Behavioral advertising generates profits by turning people into products and their activity into assets. Consumers deserve more notice and more control over their data and their digital privacy. In the US, there is no federal data privacy law. Individual states have their own plans in order to protect consumers' personal information. Virginia and California have plans that allow consumers to view personal data, delete personal data, opt out of the sale of personal data, and opt out of personal data for ads, similarly to GDPR. In order for all citizens of the US to have their data protected, all 50 states would need to implement a data protection and privacy plan. Yeah. Thank you, Edison. Now I'm going to talk about the main differences between the European Union and the United States privacy. As technology continues to evolve and affects so many facets of our lives, the digital environment really demands an overreaching framework to ensure and enforce data privacy. As stated in many documents, it is clear that the European Union and the United States take different approaches to data protection. First of all, the European Union considers the privacy of communication and the protection of personal data to be fundamental rights, which are codified in the European Union law known as GDPR. GDPR is a comprehensive personal data protection framework designed to safeguard those rights. As a matter of fact, one of the main aims of GDPR is to ensure that everyone is guaranteed the same rights and freedoms. The United States, on the other hand, legislate data privacy differently from the European Union and do not have an all-encompassing data privacy framework like GDPR. Moreover, the United States has a variety of federal and state laws that aim to protect the citizen privacy and online data. There is a big positive to the United States system. It gives much more freedom to the states to decide what is best for their residents, considering their needs and specific context of life. This is something that has always been so important for the United States government system since the Constitution conception. However, most people from the United States feel they have little or no control over how these entities use their personal information and concerns about those who collect, store, and use their personal information. It is necessary to find a solution to these problems. The idea is to help people by giving them a greater control over over their personal privacy. We can't make a fair comparison because there isn't an equivalent to GDPR in the USA yet. However, the idea of creating a piece of legislation similar to GDPR is not out of the question. Thank you for your attention.
Hello, I am Lucas Yamamoto of Walt Whitman High School. I will be discussing a potential GDPR or equivalent of it in the United States. In order for a GDPR bill like the GDPR to pass in America, there are a few things that would have to happen that would be different from the original. For one, it would not deal with government surveillance. It would not be anywhere near as harsh, and it won't be as far-reaching. It'll be probably closer to the VCDPA, Virginia plan, compared to the CPPA, which is the California plan. A potential bill that might get passed, but probably won't, is HR 4978, also known as the Online Privacy Act. It was brought up twice by two senators in 2019 and 2022. However, in neither time it got traction, and it most likely will be forgotten. A reason why a potential GDPR bill in America would be a lot less harsh is because in America, there is the perspective of treating companies not as like financial entities, but as collections of people. So also companies just have a lot more influence in America. That is all.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Before we move on to the questions from the students, I would like to invite our representatives to comment on the presentation which they just viewed. Delegate Kelly, you now have the floor for any comments.
Wow. So I was watching your presentation and I was texting with my colleague, Sarah Love, who also represents Bethesda and has done some work in this space and is spending, I think, the interim digging into what more we can do in Maryland. And I was telling her how incredibly impressed I am by the connections you all have made and the contrasts you have drawn between Europe's approach and the US approach. And it was very inspiring to me. So I want to thank you for your presentations. And I think that you're really spot on. I think you drew some, the parallels that you found were accurate. And I think the contrasts and sort of the differences in our approach, and perhaps from my perspective, the weaknesses in the US approach to this became very clear. So very, very good work. I'm so proud of you all.
Thank you very much, Delegate Kelly. Member European Parliament Benife, I now invite you to share any comments
Yes,
you may have.
just one moment, sorry, because I just got in the exact moment when I need to. One moment, sorry. Okay. Now I can speak. So the presentation was very okay. I think you can hear me. Yeah, the presentation was very interesting and very clear, I would say, on the different approaches. It's true that in Europe, the idea is that we cannot have a common market at European level if we don't unify also these citizens' rights in front of data collecting and processing and using. As you rightly mentioned, the American approach concentrates only on the customers, so on what the companies will do, but not about data collection. We think this is a limitative approach in front of what we have seen happening with the data misuse all over the world by companies, especially big tech companies that have been at the center of scandals regarding misuse of data for a lot of reasons, spying, surveillance, political manipulation, etc. So I think it's interesting to see also that things are changing, are moving also in US, in the sense that there are debates on creating a common framework. We heard about that. And clearly the GDPR, as I think it will be in the questions, this for sure, but I'm not sure I can stay, so I will only comment that the GDPR is very complex and it probably needs to be better applied, because we have the situation in Europe that we have this common legislation, the GDPR, but we don't have a real common enforcement authority, because we have a data protection supervisor at European level, but in the end, the data protection authorities at national level still prevail. So I leave this consideration also because I'm not sure I can speak later because I need to take the flight, but I will stay online as much as possible and try to answer also a few more questions. But first of all, really thank you for this impressive work. As it was said before, it was really, really a great job from you. I think you are really tackling one of the most important topics now for the future of our democracies and citizenships. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Benife. And again, we're happy to have you for as ever long as we can, so I'll try to speed it up. So 4 of our students are going to be asking a set of questions to our honorable representatives, and I'm going to give the floor over to Pietro Carpenesi in Sarzana.
Hi, good afternoon, Delegate Kelly and member of European Parliament Benife. I would like to know why are law like GDPR so long and complicated? Couldn't law be made more straightforward and easier for everyone to understand? Thanks.
I'm going to give the floor to Member Benife.
Yes, clearly, as I was saying, we can probably be simpler, but also you need to consider that the European Union is not a federal state. I am a federalist, so I would like to have a federal union, but we still are not there. And not being a federal union means also that to build legislation that finds support and is approved as a common law in as a unified legislation at EU level, you really need to do a lot of compromises also when you write the text based on different approaches. So in the end, the text is more complex than it should, also because the legislative process is probably not the more efficient for this kind of work. But this is how is the EU today. And in fact, it demonstrated that it can anyway lead, because the GDPR is very complex, but it has obliged other parts of the world to confront with it. And also the big tech companies had to adapt their business model to the existence of the GDPR. So in fact, it has been a standard setter to some extent. So yeah, this is how I see it about the complexity of the GDPR.
Thank you. Delegate Kelly, you now have the floor.
Thank you. And please feel free to defer to Member Benife, since we only have him for a short time on any of these questions. I can stay later, but I will just quickly say, obviously, we don't have a federal law like this. If we did in the United States, it would be extremely complex. If you look at just our Affordable Care Act or any of our other major federal laws that we have passed, you have a lot of stakeholders weighing in. It's the sausage making process, as Member Benife referred to it. The legislative process can be very complicated because you have so many stakeholders weighing in. It's not just one person's opinion of what the law should look like. It's a collaborative process. Many times the complexities are there for a very good reason. And I have found through the legislative process on complicated bills, one person can't always think of every incident that you need to legislate for, every tweak that might need to be made to the bill. So there is a reason for the complex process that involves all of the stakeholders and the different opinions. It is certainly not streamlined, but oftentimes that's what we need in order to get the outcome that we need, which is a law that's going to work for all of the stakeholders.
Thank you very much. I'm going to hand the floor over to Carlo in Italy.
Thank you. The second question will come from Rebecca Browns from Annapolis High School.
Dear members of Parliament, how much do data protection laws protect against government surveillance? Thank you.
Member of European Parliament Benife, you have the floor to respond to this question.
Yeah, I think we should be protected for government surveillance. In fact, that's what I'm doing with the Artificial Intelligence Act on which I'm working now. We will prohibit mass surveillance in public spaces with intelligent cameras, for example. This is a very hot topic that I've also discussed with legislators from the US. I think that if we don't protect the data, the way data is used by the public authorities, we really risk a surveillance state, even in our democracies, not just in authoritarian states. So I think this kind of legislation, especially when public authorities are involved, is very important. And I think it should be applied also for new technologies. As I mentioned, the EU is trying to do this on how AI is used, artificial intelligence is used in the public authority remit to determine the citizens' rights, what you can do as a person. So a lot of personal data is involved in this, and so the risk of surveillance is high if there are not safeguards. So I think this is a very important issue for our democracies and should not be looked at only from an economic point of view. Thank you.
Delegate Kelly, you have the floor to respond to this question.
Thank you so much. As I was thinking about this question last night, I couldn't help but put us in the context of US politics today. So one of I floated the question to a group of my friends, and the response they immediately said to me was, delete your period tracker app. For those of you in Italy, you probably don't understand what I'm talking about, but in the United States right now, in Italy, you have legal access to abortion. In the United States, we're about to lose that. The US Supreme Court is about to eliminate the right to abortion in the United States, which means each of the states are going to make their own decision, and about half of them will ban abortion. And there is concern because right now, law does not protect individuals who are tracking their menstrual cycle on an app. It does not prevent the government of Mississippi from going in and finding out if your period was late and you sought an illegal abortion. So that's terrifying. So there are really real life consequences. So I couldn't agree with the member more. We need to be very cautious, particularly in light of what's happening in the United States with this sort of extremist conservative takeover.
Thank you very much, representatives. Benedetta Mariani from Sarzana will ask our third question.
Good afternoon. So I would like to ask, are United States citizens protected by the GDPR rules when living in Europe? And are European citizens protected by GDPR rules when living in the United States?
Member Benife, I'm going to hand this one to you.
Yeah, well, just one diversion to say that yesterday in the European Parliament there was a huge demonstration by the members in solidarity to the US women on Roe versus Wade risk of being overturned. So just to totally support what was just said by Delegate Kelly. And on the issue of GDPR, I can answer very simply because it's a very straightforward answer. US citizen in EU is protected by GDPR, and a EU citizen in US is not protected if data is processed by a US company in US. But if it's a EU company processing data in US, GDPR will be applied. So this is how the GDPR works. So it is, which is probably the most important thing to underline, it is also covering US citizens if they are in Europe dealing with European companies. It's not just for European citizens.
Delegate Kelly, you have the floor for your response.
The only thing I can add to that response is I was speaking to a friend of mine last night who she does travel services. So she runs a company that takes people from the US into Europe on trips. And she said she complies with the rule. As soon as she goes to Europe, she has a whole list of things that she needs to follow and that's part of their doing business. So I'm happy to say we're complying. At least she's complying.
Gonna hand it back over to Carla.
Thank you both. Our last question will come from Mark-Jan Frickman from Walt Whitman High School.
Hello, members. My question for you today is, to what extent should companies be involved in the creation of privacy laws, laws that impose restrictions on said companies? In other words, how best to balance the rights of customers with the rights of companies?
Member of the European Parliament, Benifei, you have the floor to respond to this question.
Okay, yes, thank you. I managed because the Frankfurt airport is so big that it takes a long time to get to the flight. So I made all the questions on the bus to the airplane. In my view, it's very important that legislators are able to talk with all stakeholders. So to be honest, I take my own experience working now on legislation on artificial intelligence. I talk with all stakeholders. I talk with all the business representatives and with civil society, with citizens, but business should be listened to. They can give you examples on how things can change if you change legislation, and they can give you examples. So I'm in favor of a clear and direct dialogue with business. On the other hand, I think that data and what is done with data of people should be as much as possible in the hands of people because it's their own data. It's not a company right to have the data, but data as a value and should be, especially the sensitive ones, be protected as a right of the people. So this is how I see the thing in general, and I insist that this is not against companies. It's instead is a way to build a competitive model that respects our values and avoids also, if I can say, our democratic values and is avoiding any kind of misuse that can be a manipulation or an abuse of or our own citizens' understanding. It's easy to be manipulated if you don't understand what is happening with your data and with what you're interacting with. Thank you very much.
Delegate Kelly, you have the floor to respond to this question.
Thank you so much. And I have to say, I've been so thrilled to be here and hear Member Benifei's answers to this too, because as a legislator here in the US, it's very informative to me to understand the lens through which they're seeing things. I would say that particularly here, one of the highlights that you all pointed out in your presentation was that we tend to have a more corporate friendly or biased towards corporations process. I think the most important thing, I completely agree with the member that you have to listen to the corporations. That's our job as legislators. Where it becomes a problem is when you do everything they want. There's a big difference, right? So listening to what their needs are, trying to understand what is a reasonable request and what is going too far for the public interest, that's our job as we're doing legislation. But we cannot create legislation without understanding at least the environment in which they're working, the motivation behind their needs, unintended consequences that might be created by our actions. So the conversation is very important, but we cannot let the weight of their power or their financial contributions to political campaigns or their potential as job creators being held against us, we can't let that be what makes our determinations for us.
Thank you, Delegate Kelly. I now invite you to present your final remarks.
Is that for me or for the member? Is he still here? Is he gone?
Still here, but you can be first.
I'll be first. This was so wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. This was the highlight of my week, I have to say. I'm so inspired by you all and the conversation that you all are having. I am hopeful that here in the US, we can learn from the experiences of Europe and move forward in this space. I think it's obviously something that people are very interested in for very, very good reason. So I am continuing to text Delegate Love on my phone because she has a bill right now she's going to be working on in the Maryland legislature. So if any of the Maryland students want to help with that, you can reach out to my office. But just in general, this has been such a pleasure, and I really commend you for the dialogue you have begun and the work you're doing together. It is inspiring to me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Delegate Kelly. I'm now going to invite Member Benifei for his final remarks.
Yes, sorry, I'm already on the plane, so I need to speak low. I really appreciate also this initiative. I think it has been very useful to see clearly our differences, but also our common reflections. I think that these kind of projects need to be supported and continued. So I want to thank all the involved institutions, and I hope we can continue this exchange, especially on such crucial issues like our being digital citizens in the future and data protection and these kind of topics that are really very, very important ones for our future. So thank you and see you soon.
Thank you very much, Member Benifei. I'm now going to hand it over to Carla.
It seems that we all agree that privacy is something that should not be infringed upon. In the 21st century, these concerns are now more pertinent than ever. We believe that both the United States and the European Union stand for one thing: unity. We hope that our discussion and proposals on data protection will help shape policy and action through our political representatives, both in Europe and the United States, and that this chapter of dialogue across the Atlantic continues. We are looking forward to keeping in touch with you all in Maryland.
Many thanks to the European Parliament for organizing Bridge the Pond, and to the Embassy of Italy for this Italy-USA project and for kindly hosting us here today. To those involved in this discussion, Representative Benifei from Europe and Delegate Kelly from Maryland, we express the utmost gratitude for joining us today. And let me just say on behalf of all of our students, your answers certainly inspire hope for our futures. From us in Maryland to our dear friends in Sarzana, grazie per esservi uniti a noi. Thank you for joining us here today. We're looking forward to keeping in touch with you all. I now give the floor over to Miss Maria Fusco from the Embassy of Italy.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You did a very great job. I hope that your proposal, your suggestion will be taken in consideration by the two legislators, by two countries. So now I will give the floor to my colleague, the principal of Istituto Italiano Sarzana Parentucelli Arzelà di Sarzana, Cardinale Generoso. And then we proceed with the final remarks of the Councillor Bellantone. Please, Generoso.
Buongiorno, good morning, everyone. I greet all the students, teachers, and authorities present. This is a moment of enrichment for everyone, and for this reason, I would like to thank all those who, in whatever capacity, participate in this wonderful collaborative project. The wish is to involve more and more people in the process of open-mindedness towards knowledge. Thanks everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you so much. And now it's the moment of scholarships awards. So Paola Corner, please.
I'm very happy to give 3 scholarships that we share with the Istituto di Sarzana to 3 of their students. They are Aurora Passani, Michele Biggi, and Simone Esposito. Thank you for your outstanding academic performance. And we're really happy to see you in October with us, and keep the good work. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
These are the 3 students.
Yeah.
Congratulations for these 3 awards you have. We will wait for you in the USA next October, and please come to the embassy for a visiting presence. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, just a few words to thank you again for this project. It has been amazing to see the results of your. It has been amazing to see the results of your job, your exchange of view, your exchange of point of view. The issue you that is very important, it's very sensitive. I think it will be the new challenge for us. The challenge for the future will be the protection of data, important for companies, important for security, important in every aspect of our life. So thank you very much for your job, and I hope this has been the beginning of a series of projects we will continue to have with you, with the Parliament, the European Parliament, with Sarzana School, and with our friend from the US School. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I think that the ceremony is closed. Thank you all. Bye-bye.